You know, when Matthew Perry tragically passed away back in October 2023, it sent shockwaves everywhere. It also kicked off this huge federal investigation into how he got the ketamine that led to his overdose. Well, it looks like that investigation has just hit its final and really decisive chapter.
So here's the huge news. Every single one of the 5 people charged in connection with his death, they've all pleaded guilty. All 5 of them. The 5th and final defendant just entered her plea, which basically closes the book on the prosecution side of this whole high-profile case.
And that last person to plead guilty, her name is Jasine Sanga. She just recently stood up in a federal court in LA and formally admitted her part in everything that led to Perry's death. Okay, so she pleaded guilty to 5 different federal charges, but one of them really stands out. It's distribution of ketamine resulting in death. I mean, that's the big one, right? It's the most serious charge she was up against, and it draws a direct line from her actions to what tragically happened to Matthew Perry.
So you're probably asking, who exactly is this Jasmine Sanga? Well, according to the prosecutors, she wasn't just some random supplier. Nope. They say she was the central figure, kind of the linchpin in the whole supply chain that eventually got to the famed actor.
And get this, the federal prosecutors even gave her this really striking nickname, the Ketamine Queen. Their whole case was that she was this incredibly prolific dealer who had carved out a business catering specifically to this niche, high-end and celebrity clientele.
When you look at her profile, it's a wild contrast. On one hand, you've got her Instagram, right? Projecting this super posh lifestyle, posing in photos with famous people all over the world. But then, behind all that glitz, prosecutors painted a very different picture, a life as a drug dealer. And what's even crazier is they even linked her to a completely separate fatal overdose that happened back in 2019.
Okay, so to really get how she's connected to Perry, we need a little bit of context. Now, Perry was actually receiving legal ketamine infusion therapy to treat his depression. But the story goes, he started looking for more of the drug than his doctor was prescribing. And that search is what ultimately led him down the path to this illegal supply chain. So when investigators started digging, they uncovered what turned out to be a pretty simple 3-step chain. Step 1, Perry wants more ketamine. Step 2, his friend, a guy named Fleming, steps in as the middleman. And Step 3, Fleming makes the connection that leads right to Jasmine Sanga.
And that final transaction, wow, it happened so close to the end. It was just 4 days before he was found unresponsive. Perry allegedly handed over $6,000, all in cash, and for that, he got 25 vials of ketamine, all supplied by Sanga. And yeah, that was the dose that investigators tied directly to his death.
But here's the thing. As the feds dug deeper, they realized this wasn't just about one dealer. Not at all. They ended up uncovering this whole network of people who all played some part in getting drugs to Perry.
And when you see the network they mapped out, it's pretty startling. I mean, you've got Sanga as the supplier and Fleming as the middleman, sure, but the list also includes 2 doctors and even Perry's own assistant, a man named Kenneth Iwamasa. And here's the most stunning part of all. Every single person on this list has now pleaded guilty. Every one of them.
So now that we have guilty pleas from all 5 people involved, the case is moving into its final phase. And that's sentencing. So the big question is, what happens now?
Well, for Jasmine Sanga, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because of her plea deal, she's now facing a potential maximum sentence of, get this, 65 years in federal prison. Her sentencing hearing is already on the calendar for this December.
Right after she entered her plea, her attorney, Mark Garagos, spoke to the media. He tried to give a little insight into her side of things, saying, and I'm quoting here, that she feels horrible about all of this, and that she's felt horrible since day one.
So look, the guilty pleas, they give us some legal answers, right? We know who supplied the drugs. But this whole situation, this complicated web of personal struggle, doctors, friends, enablers, it really forces us to ask a much bigger and honestly a much tougher question. When you're talking about the tragic cycle of addiction, where does accountability really truly begin and where does it end?